Cecil Hotel is a budget hotel on Main Street in Los Angeles, California. It first opened on December 20, 1924. The 19-floor hotel has 700 guest rooms. The hotel is known for having murders, drug addicts, and crazy people. There has been a death in almost every room in the Cecil Hotel. When the United States went into the Great Depression, the hotel declined. Skid Row, where Hotel Cecil was located, became increasingly populated with homeless. 10,000 homeless people lived in a 4-mile radius of the hotel. It got so bad as to where prison buses and psychiatric wards would take the released patients and just drop them on Skid Row. Skid Row was patrolled and the cops were there to keep them inside Skid Row to keep the danger outside of the main city and just to stay in Skid Row. The first ever documented suicide at Cecil Hotel occurred on January 22, 1927, when Percy Cook shot himself in the head while inside his hotel room after failing to reconcile with his wife's child. The next reported death was 1931 when a guest died in his room after taking poison capsules. There were years and years of deaths listed at the hotel. Police were called from 1 to 3 times each day for violence at the hotel. In 2011, part of the Cecil Hotel was rebranded and renamed to the Stay on Main. They redid the entire inside of the hotel, changed the theme and changed the rooms and lobby to try and get rid of the dark past. They originally tried kicking out all the low-income tenants, but during the rebranding they were told to stop immediately and put a halt on operations. The hotel was told they could not kick out long-term tenants, that the low income was part of the contract, and since it was part of Skid Row they had to keep it. Which is why it is now partially Stay on Main and half Hotel Cecil. The first 4 floors are for hotel guests, then the upper floors were for the tenants. Everyone thought it was a great idea, being that it was separate floors and separate lobbies. Besides, when it came to the elevators, the tenants and hotel guests had to share common elevators, which meant pretty much anyone in the building had access to any floor they wanted. The popularity of the hotel in this day came from the disappearance of Elisa Lam. Elisa was Canadian. She wanted to travel before going to college. In the fall in 2013, she was diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder. She wanted to feel like everyone else and to prove her sickness couldn't get in the way of doing normal things like everyone else. She set out to travel to California by herself. She had a Tumblr account which was her life. She blogged multiple times a day and just used it to vent and talk about life and post artistic pictures. She had her whole trip planned out. She visited San Diego first and documented her trip to the zoo on social media. On January 28, 2013, she arrived in Los Angeles. After just 2 days of being there in a shared room with 2 other girls, she got moved to her own room. It later came out that Elisa was showing odd behavior and acting out. She was actually going around into other guests' bedrooms and leaving notes in their room saying "get out" or "leave now." She even went as far as locking guests out of their own room and asking what the password was to enter their own hotel room. Elisa was even caught in rooms in the hotel that only employees had access to, and she was told to leave. She contacted her parents every day on her trip. On February 1, the day she was told to check out of Hotel Cecil and leave for Santa Cruz, her parents did not hear from her, so they contacted the police. Hotel staff who saw her on the last day said she was alone outside the hotel. The only other person who saw her that day was the manager of a nearby bookstore, who said she seemed very nice and outgoing. She was worried about what book to get or if it would be too heavy for her to carry back to the hotel and travel with. Police searched the hotel and searched every single room in the hotel. They brought in search dogs and had them go throughout the hotel, including the roof. They got a lead in one of the rooms and it led to the window where the scent was lost. They got nothing from the searches they did at the hotel. They also only had cameras on certain floors in certain areas. On February 15, after another week with no sign or trace of Elisa, the police released the last seen footage of Elisa on her last day of what she would be wearing. It was taken February 1 by the elevator surveillance camera. In 2.5 minutes of footage, she makes unusual hand motions and is thought to be paranoid even though she is alone. She walks in and presses every single button down the middle. The doors stay open until she leaves the elevator. Speculation started immediately after releasing the video of everyone wondering why the elevator doors didn't close, why they were open for so long, and why did they stay open until she left. The reason behind it, which was later found out, was because she clicked the remain open button for the doors to Stay open for 2 minutes in the elevator. When the doors wouldn't close, she is seen leaving the elevator, and that was the last time she was seen. She was on the last floor, which was odd because she was staying on the 4th floor and had no reason to be all the way up there. Some people thought it seemed that she was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. During the search for Elisa, hotel guests were complaining of their water pressure in the rooms and that the water was dirty. The manager called maintenance and told them to fix the problem. The maintenance guy went to the water tanks on the roof to see if there was a clog in the tank, and when he opened the hatch he saw her body floating face up naked. All the hotel tenants and guests were drinking decomposing body water for weeks. They drained the tank and cut it open on the side to take the body out to make sure they wouldn't tamper with the body. They couldn't figure out how or why she was on the roof. To get on the roof you need a key, which only employees had, and if you tried to go out without the key an alarm went off. The only other way up WSS the fire escape on the side of the building, the ladder leading straight up to the roof. They also couldn't figure out if she was alone how she got into the tank and closed the hatch on her own. The autopsy came back and there was no drugs or alcohol in her body. She also had no brushes and was not sexually assaulted. No one could figure out what actually happened that night. As of now, no one really knows what happened in that hotel, and it is currently closed for reno action and was supposed to open BSCK up last year but still remains closed.